What's up, guys, and welcome to Tim Talks, the real estate show where we talk about real estate, life, and a little bit of everything else. Roll the intro. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, Sua. Sua is a financial planner and helps other people grow their wealth. I think some of the work that Sua does is really cool because a lot of times when people think about financial planners, you think of hedge fund managers, people that have generational wealth that's just been built up and passed down from generation to generation. Well, Sua specializes in helping folks that are just starting in their financial journey. They're just pushing together their first few pennies to start saving money. I think that's really cool. So I brought her on the show to talk about a little bit about what she does, some of the challenges that she faces, and I'm really pleased to have her here today. So Sua, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Sua. I went to George Fox. I think that's how we connected.
Yes.
Because we went to George Fox.
Let me just interrupt you for a second. I'm a fiend with LinkedIn. I think I have like 1,500 connections on there, something close to that. And so I messaged Sua. Most people, they don't respond, but Sua did. And we just kind of started this dialogue. And next thing you know, we had a Zoom call.
Yes,
Whenever Ethan gets me a sponsorship with LinkedIn, that would be nice. That would be great. But that's, LinkedIn. That's my plug for the day. Sorry, go ahead.
We met through LinkedIn. We later on met on Zoom, and I told them everything of what I do. I started getting my licenses because what I do now is something that I wish could have done to my family 22 years ago. Because life happens and a lot of things happened. And now when I heard about what I do, which is I help families get properly protected, debt-free, and on a path to financial independence, which a lot of people don't know how to start that, or they don't have any guidance to or where to start. They started growing a family and they just know how to work, provide for the kids, and that's it. So, started getting my licenses to be able to provide more services to my people, my community. I'm from Woodburn.
Careful, in Newburgh, that's a gang sign. So.
President Baker's going to stop me. But,
George Fox University president. We all have a deep admiration for him.
Pretty cool guy. Yeah. But I'm going to continue doing this because I know it happened to my family. And my family was a result of not being financially prepared. My mom was 29 when my dad passed away. And I was the oldest. I was 6 years old and I have 2 younger brothers. So I don't know how my mom did it. God was there all the way. But she somehow did it. We grew up with SNAP. We grew up with government help up until my youngest brother was 18. So to prevent that, or to help families like that, because the Hispanic community needs it a lot.
Yeah.
I'm mainly focusing on mainly Hispanics, but anybody that wants to learn more, I'm up for it. I've done financial workshops, financial game plans. Some George Fox students also have come to me, and they've actually seen the whole how much in debt they are, and it gives them a better realization of what they're into.
So yeah, that's really cool because when you just mentioned the debt part, right? A lot of people are in debt. I think I read something the other day that said that over 50% of Americans have credit card debt, which to me I've been blessed, and I pay off my credit cards every month because, I've always been kind of scared of credit card debt. But to think that there are half the people out there, half the population is sitting there with credit card debt. So you're telling me that when you get these people into your office, you're able to sit down, look at what they have in front of them, their portfolio, right, of, assets and income and debt, and you're able to build them a plan to get to where they want to be financially.
Yes, it's a complementary financial game plan. Lets you know where you are at currently. See if you continue on that pathway of let's see, saving your money through the bank, which not a good idea, by the way, but saving
0.01% interest. Woo! I got 65 cents this year.
Yeah, and like they know that, but they don't know where to go to have a better knowledge about how to make it grow faster or how to make it grow over time. Seeing that, we get them a financial game plan going, get them the debt stacking so they can get out of debt. You're right on the credit card. On average, every family member household carries average credit card debt of $6,000.
Jeez.
Student loans, it's an average of $37,000.
Wow.
Average.
Wow.
Plus, we're not counting in the home mortgages, auto loans. Like, that's just separate.
Yeah.
That people, like, I mean, they want to have ownership of a home, but along with that, you have behind you all the student debt, any health debt that you have piled up too, that's also stacking up.
Yeah. So you got people hurting financially. And, you know, I mean, thank you for sharing that about your family, by the way. There are people out there that are hurting. Some people have nothing, and some people have enough to get by, but they want more. There's more out there, right? I think in the boat that I was in, you know, I never really had to struggle as in, like, you know, whenever my next meal is going to come from. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I knew there was more out there. And I think for a person like me, who you would say is a pretty average, like, middle class person, people like you are exactly what we're looking for, because we want an opportunity, not just to kind of leave the debt that we have behind. We want to get out of that. We want to grow something more for our children, for our children's children. So I think that's what really excites me about certain entrepreneurial endeavors like this, is because real estate is one of those, right? Financial planning is another one of those. This is how you leave a legacy for the people that you care about. So I think that's really exciting, and I think what you do is really cool. So let's dive into some other stuff that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. Oh, by the way, before we do that, I just want to say, you mentioned how you don't know how your mom did it as a single mother for 3 kids. Well, I have a Latina girlfriend, and her mom, first of all, scares me.
They are scary.
They're very scary. There's actually a TikTok I think my girlfriend posted it. She's got about like 250,000 views or something. And it's of her pranking me by saying her mom was calling for me. And the way, like, I whip my head around like this, and it's like I get whiplash from it. But no, how did she get through it? I got, seriously, you were saying you want to serve the Hispanic community. Well, there are some of the strongest people I've seen in that community, especially like having an experience with my girlfriend's mom. She immigrated, and so did my girlfriend's dad. They both immigrated from different countries, but they've made it. And but there's like a special kind of grit, a special kind of toughness that I see there. So I think it's really cool, because if you're giving them the tools and they already have that grit within them, I think you're just going to uplift a whole population. So really cool. But let's get into it. What are some real challenges that you've dealt with, like some of the hardest challenges that you have dealt with in this business so far?
At the beginning, I think it was my own family, like my relatives. Like when I was excited about this, like, because it happened to me, and like I didn't want it to happen to them too, and not having them be prepared, or like get to a certain age and not have enough money to retire. So like when I would share what I have, they'll be like, okay, we'll think about it. And so like it was just very like having them not see what I see. Now, like back moving forward, fast forward to 3 years later today, they reach out to me and it's like, hey, so are you still doing that? Like, are you still doing this? Like, cause we need some help. Or like, we need help. We need, like, I got this insurance, but I want to see if you can help me do better or get all the family in. Oftentimes there's only one person insured and like not the family. And so like, everybody needs to be insured. And so being able to help them out in that area, my goal is to help you either if something happens way too soon or if you live too long.
If you live too long. Yeah, that's a problem that we're all dealing with. Yeah,
and it's a need.
Living too long. No, I know what you mean. So you do financial planning, but you're also doing insurance as well. Is that?
I'm a financial service representative.
So you cover all of it. All of it. If you have a financial need,
yes,
it's under your umbrella.
Yes.
Okay. So that's really cool. So your family was the hardest client to get?
Yeah, because they were like, they would believe you.
Sure.
But me starting, I'm like,
yeah.
No. But I would take the person that was with me, training me and everything, and a few would be like, oh, okay, that we'll let you know. Sure. But the big one for me was like, after seeing that my own relatives were like, oh, they would like slightly brush me off. Mm-hmm. Like it would be in my own head. I was like, is it like, am I not seeing something? Like, is it like, it happened to me? Like, why can't they see that?
Right.
3 years ago, one of my aunts, like my dad was the one who passed away first, but 3 years ago, another aunt passed away. And so she was like the eye opener for everybody else. And so that's when I started getting more like, oh, yeah, are you still doing this? Like, I don't see you, I don't see any, like, you only went to my house once. Like, are you still doing it?
Sure.
It's like, yeah, I am. And so now that I have gained more experience, I'm able to help them out more. But the sad thing is, she had to pass away for them to see it.
Right. So what your message is like, let's not learn the hard way. Let's get on it before.
You always get your card insured. You always get everything. You always try to get prepared in case something happens.
Right.
Like, but you don't get yourself, your family insured, or your home insured. Mm-hmm. But you don't get your own family insured. Like, the value of the family, I believe, is greater than material things. Yes, you want to build generational wealth. Yes, you want to build, but if you are the one like providing that for them and you just don't make it home one day, like, where does all that go?
Sure. Like, that's a really good, that is a really good, it's not a sales pitch, right? But the fact that, sorry, I'm trying to think of the one way to, like, that's a really good message, because I think a lot of times people think, the message is build that wealth. I will admit, for me, that is a good portion of my message is like, guys, I want to help you build some wealth. But for you, it's like, wealth is awesome. Great. That's awesome. But your family is everything. And if you don't have your family protected, if you don't have a financial plan for your family, then you're going to be kind of left, with your butt in the dust when things go south.
Because you're working for your family. You're building this generational wealth for them. Like, you might not be able to see it, but your family is going to be the one that's going to be moving it forward. So doing that, like working for them, like having something for them, I can say my dad's ultimate goal was to have U.S. citizen kids. Why? Because they can travel, they can vote, or they can do whatever they want. That was his goal, because he didn't, like your girlfriend's parents, they immigrated from Mexico. So his goal, he only made it to 32 years. He only had 3 kids. That became his life goal. And now to be able to provide that, to be able to help my mom do everything she wants. She's a single mom, but she's living her best life.
Yeah.
Now.
Probably because you guys are out.
Yeah. Like, we've become her biggest assets too.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
But it's that idea, like, what are you leaving behind to your... Yes, we're all working. We're all going to continue working. But what are you going to leave behind for your kids or for your properties or anything? Like, all of that is for your family.
Right. I like that because I don't know about you, but sometimes I, like, after a long day of work, obviously, all the tension and frustration of the day is built up. And so I sometimes will like think to myself like, hey, we really all just kind of go to work every day. And like, except for a couple days on the weekend and maybe a couple weeks during the year, we don't really, like, that's what we do. We just work. Yeah. So like, you better have a purpose for that work, right? Because if you're going to be out there, if you're going to be hustling, then you better be hustling with a purpose in mind, right? Mm-hmm. Not just for the sake of like, well, this is what humans do. We go to work and that's pretty much it, right? You got to have a purpose behind that, which I think is really, really good to have. We talked about some of the challenges that you have encountered, which is really funny because it's just your family. You know what? To a certain extent, I totally agree with you on that. When I started real estate, it was funny because the people that I talked to, lead generation, the people that I was working with, they, if I knew them and had a past prior like connection with them, they were a little skeptical. They were like, I know you. Yeah. There's no way that you know what you're doing here. And I did, but a little bit of it is convincing the people that you're close with that you're legit. It's funny because these random strangers would have total faith and put their total trust in me. But the people that you're close to were like, let's see if you can actually do it first. Yeah. And then once they saw that I could actually do it, they were like, well, I've been thinking about this neighborhood and I've been thinking about this house. And what do you think? Should I sell now or should I hold on to it? It's kind of interesting. Kind of interesting how that works.
Well, because you think of they've always been there. Yeah. And like when you come up with something that like you see the value of and like they don't see it, it's just like, why? they just literally brush you off until they see it. Like it's repetition. Mm-hmm. If they see you doing it over and over again, like they're gonna be like, oh, okay, this like actually happening. You're actually doing something. But it didn't always start like that. Yeah. Like yesterday or 2 days ago, I got a referral and like she was the easiest client, but my family have been the hardest clients.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you mentioned repetition as well. What things are you doing kind of like on a daily basis? Like because I like the non-negotiables, right? What do you do every day on a daily basis? Because obviously there's things that you have to go out and do that you don't do every day. So like some days I have an inspection, some days I have a showing here, some days I have a meeting there, but every single day there are certain punch list items that are non-negotiables for myself. So what are some of those things that you do on a daily basis that are kind of non-negotiables for you?
Well, I start with myself. The way that what I tell myself is always work on yourself first before working for someone else. So I get up, I try to go to church. It's a try, it doesn't happen. Sure. But I thank God I go to the gym.
Every day you try to go to church?
Yeah. It doesn't happen. It happens like twice a week.
Okay, but that's still really impressive with the intent to get up every day and go to church. And I consider myself, a God-fearing person, but that's really impressive. Sorry. I was thinking, no, not your weekend routine, your daily routine, every day. Wow, every day. Impressive.
I back in college, I was going to church in the mornings because I don't really share this, but I had 4 jobs when I was going to church vlogs. Wow. Plus a full-time student.
What were they?
I had 2 at school. My easiest job was just listening to people try to speak Spanish.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that. You're like, wrong.
I was like, just talk to me. Just talk to me. That was one at the Spanish department, the phonathon, and then I worked at Chang's Mongolian Grill.
Oh.
Yep, on the weekends. And Tigered.
Oh, okay.
And then during the nights, I would work at the Regal Theater.
Oh, okay.
In Bridgeport.
Okay, so you were full, and you were going to school.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like now I look back and I'm like, never doing that again.
Yeah. Well, I think I think there is an issue with people's desire to work these days. There is an issue with people's motivation to work these days. I don't know what the reason is. I think there's a variety of things out there that cause this, but I do think that to be successful, there are certain times in your life where you just kind of have to put your head down and go for it.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to get in the mud and grind. So, I mean, hopefully you're out of that now, but it sounds like you're out of that now. But I think that's probably, like, you're probably exhausted, but I think that to a certain extent, that time is good for you to develop some, like, real grit within you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very impressed with that phase because all that money that I saved, like, I would go to Mexico, like, to see my mom, to go see my mom, to go see my mom. So, like, that's why I was doing it back then, to go see my mom. Like, my mom is my most important. She's my why, my mom. And so just seeing her, actually yesterday we just closed the deal on her first house.
No way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So she has her house in Mexico now.
That's so great.
Thank you. She was very excited. She thought she wasn't going to be able to. But I mean, she has kids over here, so.
Yeah. She's using you guys.
It's like, and my mom deserves everything.
Of course.
She's been a phenomenal woman. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, she doesn't know me, but tell her I said enjoyed the new house.
I'm going to have her watch this.
Yes, of course, of course.
Like, what is he saying?
That's awesome. You'll have to translate. Good. Ethan, can we get Spanish subtitles, please? Special episode. Yeah, no, that's awesome. No, that is really cool, though. It's first home that she's owned?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the first time home ownership that's a special deal. That is a special deal.
I think the week that my dad passed away, he passed away on a Tuesday. We were getting keys that same week on that Thursday.
Wow.
And we never did.
Oh, so my goodness. So you were about to...
Yeah.
Wow.
He never woke up from his sleep.
Wow.
And that week, we were supposed to, like, I passed by that house and I'm just like, damn.
That's the house that you guys were supposed to have. Wow. That's
it's
insane.
It's a very big deal for my mom and for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, finally getting into that home and having the keys, right? I mean, that's a fulfillment for a lot of people, right? Like,
yeah.
It's a huge moment. I think that's one of the reasons why I do this is because getting to have that moment with that person where you hand them the keys. And for them on the other side, like, that's everything, right? I mean, I talked to somebody the other day. We were talking about putting together a plan for them down the road for home ownership. So what do you want to talk about in terms of buying a house? Like, what's on your mind? And she goes, like, the first thing out of her mouth was, owning a home is the most important thing in life to me. I thought she was kidding at first, the way she said it. I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, it's a great thing to do, right? Yeah. And she's like, no, it is the most important. It's like my life goal. And I was like, wow. And then she explained to me that she hadn't had, a stable place to live in all of her life. And I mean, she'd been renting and, her family had her move several times. And so, yeah, I mean, that is pretty crazy.
I am that girl too.
Yes. Well, we're going to hook you up. We'll get you set. And there's a lot of people out there that's their, like, finally, right? It's finally getting into the place they've been looking for. So, let's transition things a little bit. There are people that are going to watch this, hopefully. God, please. There are people that are going to watch this, and they might be, the younger versions of ourselves. So what would you say to somebody who is thinking about getting into an entrepreneurial endeavor like this? It could be real estate, financial planning, lending, insurance, anything. What words of advice, words of encouragement would you give to those people as they kind of step into that field?
Like, when you step into something that you really believe in, it's either one because you see the problem and you want to fix it. You stick to that mindset. I'm going to do it. Don't let anybody else, not even your family. Your family is the first one that's going to tell you, like, oh, don't get into that industry. You don't know what's going to happen, or you don't know in the later years what's going to go down. Get into a different industry. Like, no, if you see the value of that, like you were saying earlier, like put your head down and get to work. Get to work until you see the results, because the results are going to happen. The more you think about it, the more it's going to be in there, and the more you're going to see results out of that.
Mm-hmm. And what do you do? Because you can start it and say, I'm going to do this, and nothing's going to stop me, and nothing's going to get in the way, and I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to work. What do you do when you come up against a brick wall and you're like, I don't know if I can do this?
I try to calm down.
That's a good first reaction.
I try to calm down because I don't have a good poker face, first of all. And my reaction, like you can really tell how I feel with just my face. So just controlling my own emotions and then just thinking over. Because it could be you can step into a wall, but you can go over it. Having a time frame is gonna really put you into like a better perspective of like, okay, I'm giving myself this amount of time to do this. If I don't accomplish it, like, or if I at least get, like, if you don't even accomplish it, like, at least you'll be closer to when you started.
Right.
So like, doing that, or like writing down what you have, or like seeing it every day. I have a calendar of the days of what I do, and then my goals. Like lose 1% body fat every month. That's
Mine is gain 1% body fat every month.
Like that's one of the goals. But having 2 agents this week are gonna be taking their class to get to open up a future office in Canby. Mm-hmm. So like getting those 2 girls on board to their classes or things like that. It's happening. It's not happening from one day to another. It's happening over time. And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the results of like when you actually get to work and now you start seeing the results. Or when I started what I do now, helping people with their needs 3 years ago, and like they brushed me off. But now that they see that I'm still doing it and that I'm actually doing something,
right.
They're the ones coming to me now.
Yeah.
So yes. Like if I would have let them, like if I would have heard them tell me what they were telling me then, I wouldn't be here.
Right. So like, if you'd listened to them,
yes,
you would have and that's really cool that they're now coming to you, because it's like that self-belief and the hard work begets success. And that's really cool, because now you're seeing that actually play out. And you started this 3 years ago, you said? Mm-hmm. 3 years ago, that would have been crazy to think that they would have been coming to you, right? But you put your head down. You maybe ran into a couple walls, but you kept going. You kept trusting in the process. Cliche, I know. But trusting what you were doing and making those goals, setting those goals, going after them. And now, after 3 years, it's not an overnight thing. Now you're seeing the success. That's cool.
Yeah, because, I mean, it happened to me, so it can happen to any families. And as long as I come across someone new, I've been getting to a lot of food trucks, trying new food trucks. And, like, those people are very nice. Like, the food truck owners are very nice people. And so getting to know them, showing them what I do, it's very self-rewarding in a way. And I keep a connection. I keep a relationship. I start building one. It's very, like, besides that, like, the relationship aspect is very nice. Like, they get thrown off. My name doesn't help them, because my name is Middle Eastern, but I'm not Middle Eastern. Yeah. I'm Mexican.
We talked about that before.
And so they're just thrown off when they hear me speak Spanish, and they're like, "Oh, you speak Spanish?" Like, yeah, I'm Mexican. I'm from Woodburn.
I don't know what my parents are thinking, but I'm Mexican.
Yeah, but the name throws them off, but it's a unique name, so they remember it. So I'm really thankful for them to come up with Sua.
Yeah, it's a good, like, attention grabber. Kind of keeps
very simple, short name.
Yes, but unfortunately, autocorrect it's not autocorrect proof. As we learned when I messaged her on LinkedIn, the name Sua instantly corrects to Sue. And so I think I called you Sue on accident the first two times.
I didn't even notice it until you pointed out.
But I did later. I was like, wow, I can't believe she messaged me back. Someone called me Tom. I probably wouldn't have messaged them back.
No, I didn't even notice that until you said it. I mean, I get that a lot too.
Oh, okay.
Or like they don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Or like say it. Or is it Sue or Sue-ah? It's like like say it like if you're speaking Spanish, but they don't know how to speak Spanish. So it's like it's okay though. I don't really mind the name change.
Okay, yeah.
But it's something that they don't forget.
Sure. Before we get to the outro, anything else you wanted to add?
If you see the need of something, you see the problem, you know how to fix it. Just focus on that.
Yeah. I think that's we try to, on this show, we try to have like a bite-sized piece that you can just take away with you and apply to your life. I think that's it right there. I mean, I think it's really, really important to focus on the need and then work hard to fulfill it or satisfy it.
Like, it's not gonna, a lot of people do want the overnight success, overnight, like, I did this, but like those overnight success stories, when they tell their story, like you find out that it didn't take an overnight.
It wasn't overnight.
It wasn't overnight.
Yeah, it looks like it was overnight, but it wasn't overnight. Yeah,
and like you learn to appreciate the process.
Yeah,
it's difficult, but it's rewarding.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. That was really, really wonderful to hear a little bit about your life. Thank you so much for sharing, a little bit about your story, not just what you do, but why you do it, where you come from. I think that's a really, really important piece for anyone who's thinking about getting into an entrepreneurial field is you got to think about your why. And so, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again so much for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, make sure to add us to your library. We will be back next week with another brand new episode for you guys. Take care.